benefit from. Psychometrics myself is a word that I learned a week ago, but I'm hoping that Abanoub can shed some light on it. So without further ado, tfaddal man, like, go for it.
Okay, hello. How are you guys? Before starting, I need to ask you a simple question. Have any one of you made a personality assessment before? Okay, good. What was the types of the personality assessment that you made before? I said you made desk. Okay. Okay. When?
I did the disc one about a year ago actually.
Okay.
And I did my briefs out of my own interest.
Okay. What about you?
About 2 or 3 years.
2, 3 years. Desk or what? Desk and mile bridge. MBTI. Okay.
I did my briefs a
Couple months ago. Oh, interesting. So, what's psychometrics? Abuna, sorry. So the assessment is basically that the results are only valid for 1 year. So forget about your assessments, and keep your assessment in your mind, you know? So basically psychometrics is, the personality assessment is a psychometric tool, okay? So I guess in any day, when you start your career at wherever you work right now, you definitely start to take like aptitude assessments, logical reasoning, and this type of assessment is also psychometrics. So psychometrics is basically anything that's related to your mind, okay? So here is our agenda. The first thing we're gonna speak about why we need to know different personality types. The second thing, that's gonna be what's I can see and what's actually is hidden from me, from each one of us about the personalities. And then we will speak about what's the desk theory, and then we're gonna conduct our own assessments, and by the end, we're gonna speak how to relate these results to your service and basically to youth. Okay? So, let me ask you, why we need to know the different personality types? Why do we need to know the different personalities? I tried to do the same. Oh. Okay. What else? Why we need to know different personalities?
So you don't clash.
Don't clash.
If you understand where someone is coming from based on their personality, you're more likely to find a middle ground.
Okay, cool. What else? For the people just came, I was asking why we need to know the different personality types. To make what?
To know yourself better.
Okay, cool. Uh-huh. Okay, so do we talk to each other according to our differences, or according to our personality types, or according to our preferences? Okay, so are our preferences is usually the same as other people's preferences? Okay, that's why we need to know what's the difference between us, but between me and between the different people around me. So, okay, do you know the iceberg? So that's the iceberg for our personalities. basically the first thing that we can see is basically our skills. Okay? Let me say I'm using this tablet. So one of my skills that I can use the tablet. Okay? You can drive, so Mabruk. I know that you can drive. So it is one of your skills that you can drive. The second thing that I can see from each one of you, that your knowledge. Let me say he is a vet. Okay? So since I started speaking about his science, so it is his knowledge, okay? Abuna, once he started speaking about anything related to the church, so it is his knowledge. And it's basically the same as each one of us. And the last thing that I can see is our behaviors, okay? So if you are working for corporates, in corporates they call the knowledge and skills and behavior competencies. Have you heard about competencies? Okay. But basically, our competencies are formed by other things. The first thing that start working with is our needs. And by another meaning, it is your self-image. And your self-image is basically formed by your needs, like my need of love belonging, my need of growth, my need to be a better person. And your needs is basically formed in your mindsets, which is your values and your traits. So what's values? We are, as Christians, our values are coming from the church. But do you know Starbucks? One of their values, that if I will go to Starbucks to have a coffee and I don't have money to pay for my coffee, it is on Starbucks. It's one of their corporate values. It happens everywhere. ما عدا مصر يا جماعة. And even if you can stay at Starbucks as wherever you want to stay. Okay. And then your traits. Your traits basically, that's the deepest thing in your personality. That's basically what's forming your personality. So let me give you an example. Is any one of you are working in sales? Sales. Okay. أنت كنت يا أبونا؟ Okay. So I'm gonna give a very random example. Like, I'm a very extrovert person. Okay? And my work preferences making me to work in a very introvert job. It makes me to work as an IT help desk. So my work is basically I have to sit in front of my computer and I can't speak with anyone else. And I just only treat with other people throughout their emails. Okay? But basically I am an extrovert person. Can you see the conflict that I have in my job? So let's take this example on each one of us. Is it happens? Okay. Do I feel good about that? Okay. That's the difference between my competencies or my behaviors and my traits. That I could be a person, I could be an extrovert, but I'm working for an introvert job. It is not the same. But I'm inside this place just obliged to do the job in this way. It always happens in sales. Yeah, if I can speak about Egypt, almost all Egyptians are working in sales. It's the only job that is available in the market. But basically, almost all of them are introvert people. So they can work in sales. But if you can see them, they work very well in sales. But after that, they just only go to inside their homes, lock the doors. I don't need to speak to any person. Okay. So the first thing is our competencies and our self-image, and then our mindset, which basically values and traits. Okay, so what's desk? It's basically formed by someone called William Marston. William Marston was the author of Wonder Woman, but the comics, not the movie. And they took the comics and they made the movie. And basically, the desk is based on four letters. The first letter is dominance, the D, and based on dominance, which means that I'm dominating and I can direct, I can drive things. Basically, I am a task-oriented person. And the second thing is the I, which is based on influence, that I can inspire people and can influence people around me. I'm very interested in people. And then we have C, which stands for compliance, which means that I am a very compliant person. I'm a cautious person. I'm very careful. I'm a very process-oriented person. And the last letter is S, which is steadiness, which means I'm a specialist. I love my status quo. I don't move to the other spaces. I love my friends that I grew up since I was very young. Okay, so let's conduct our assessment. So, أبونا عايز قلم. Okay.
What does S stand for again?
Steadiness.
Steadiness.
Okay. The assessment is basically
Someone can take this pen because I have a pen. Yeah. Does anyone need a pen?
okay. This assessment only you must do it in 7 minutes. In 7 minutes. Don't think a lot. It's all about there is 4 behavior indicators. You must choose one as your most and one for your least. And you have to choose from each quadrant only 2, the most and the least. No, the first side, this side. So I could have these 4 behavior indicators that I usually do with the 4 behavior indicators. So you need to prioritize which one is your most and which one is your least. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. No, don't care about the numbers. Yeah. We,
And then you select the personality that is the least
Oh, so
likely.
like if this is more for me,
add up the
I
values
circle
last.
3, and then if this is the least one.
so
And then you add up the values.
اللي هيثink too much أنا هعرف. احنا 7 minutes. مين خلص؟ مين ما خلص؟ مصريين هم يا جماعة، مصريين. مصريين. Yeah, that's super cool. I'm waiting for the negative numbers, you know, because you're drawing your graph drawings is basically it's supposed to have negative numbers. Because each number is basically based on يعني refers to a certain behavior indicators, so that's super normal. Okay, I'm gonna count how many ones, how many twos, how many threes, how many fours, and how many fives, and the most, and then the least, and then you're gonna subtract. Okay? Okay, you're gonna count how many ones, twos, three, fours, and fives, and the most, and the least, and then you're gonna subtract. Yeah, no, not bad. أو بالنسبة لك أنت bad idea، أنا مش هقول لك لا. No, one time in the most, and then another time in the least, and then you're gonna subtract.
We don't need to worry about this.
No, not split personalities. Ignore this one, and let's keep it in this one. لا ما هي 7 دقايق.
مصريين.
اه All are done? Yeah, you could have some minus numbers. Yeah, some minus figures.
I didn't count properly.
Okay. Okay. So we need to, first of all, we made the calculations. How you just counted how many ones, two, three, and fours in the most, and then in the least, and then you made the subtraction. We need to represent these numbers over the graphs. Okay? So the subtraction gonna be in our first graph. The subtraction gonna be in the first graph, which is the self-image, and then the most gonna be in the first graph, which is the work mask, and the least will be in the behavior under pressure.
Is step 5 is that you use these values and you put them all there as well? So you put a second set of lines?
No. Ignore the 5. 5 is a neutral behaviors. We don't care about the neutral behaviors, but it counted already as most sometimes and as least in some other times. Okay? We all have the graphs? Okay. Let's look at the first graph, which is the self-image, which is basically the graph that represents your personality. Okay? So you're gonna take the first. M itself? يعني what's? Okay. The S represent the self-image. And M represent the work mask, and the S represent the behavior under pressure. So so the highest, let's look at the graph of the self-image, and the highest point that you have is basically your dominant behavior. Let me say in this graph, the highest point is the I. So this graph dominant behavior is the I. And there is a secondary one, which is the S. So the graphing is on the screens is an IS. Okay? So look at your graphs, and the highest point is your dominant. The dominant, yeah. And the second one is the second one after it. Don't look at the points that below the line. So the point below the line is basically a support functions for the points above the line. Let me say, in the first graph, there is no dominance. Does it mean that this person can't direct work, can't work, can be a leader and so on? No, it's basically he has the dominance that are coming from his steadiness. Forget about what's the meaning of the graphs right now. Okay, so we all know our two letters. Okay, who is the D's? Where is the D's? D's. Yeah. ما فيش D's خالص? Which part? Okay, look forward the first graph, and the highest point in this graph, which is your dominant behavior, and then the second point is the second point. So these في D's خالص؟ ما فيش D's؟ طب I, the first letter I. Okay, can you come in the first row? The self-image. Self-image. I. انت اس okay eyes I okay S people S, can you come to the second row? S C's in the third part, the third row. ايوه هنا يعني ايوه. طب يا جماعه مفيش ديز خالص؟ مفيش حد عنده dominance خالص؟ I in the first row.
بس دي على حسب انت بتفكر في نفسك ازاي.
لا. If you fake it up انا كان وريني الجراف. لا انا عايز اشوف اوكي. مش بضحك على حاجه. انتوا ممكن تقعدي معاهم طيب؟ مش بياكلوا يعني. That's interesting. مفيش ديز خالص يا جماعة؟ مفيش حد طب طلع له دي؟ محدش طلع له دي في الجرافس؟ The lowest thing. محدش طيب. It's not related it's basically how you see definitely yourself. But if you start to describe someone else, I can catch it up, okay? I can catch the difference in the three graphs. Let me say.
Something that you would like to do.
Exactly.
What you do.
And pace.
You're thinking like, oh, and I'm gonna pick it. Yeah. You know everyone else thinks it's expensive.
حلو عجباني دي انا gonna pick it. طيب. وباسically الاسسمنت بيميجر four quadrants. بيميجر your thoughts, your beliefs, your results, and yourself. So you have been asked the same traits or the same behavior indicators over 4 times. One time, let me say, if I'm gonna speak about objectives, I'm gonna speak about how you see your objectives, how you measure your results, and how you distribute objectives according to people, and the last one, how you are committed with the delivery of these objectives. But in terms of the assessment is not giving situation, but giving behavior indicators. You got what I want to say? Okay. طيب. Let me describe the most mixed types. And the first type is the DI profile, which is no one DI خالص قاعد. The second.
What if they're equal? لا في واحدة هنا. C. C ايه؟
SCI.
فين SCI؟ أنا جبت الإس أصلا.
S و C و I.
طب ليه SCI مش CSI؟
البروفايل ده هو اسمه SCI ما اسموش CSI. طيب. The DI profile is basically someone is an extrovert, outgoing, optimistic, and involved. Okay? So, and then the CS profile. في حد هنا CS? CS?
Oh, SI, I'm like, what does that say?
A CS profile. And I'm gonna illustrate what's the I here. So, the CS is introvert, reserved, realistic, and withdrawer. Withdrawer, it doesn't mean I withdraw. Withdraw, it doesn't mean I withdraw. It doesn't mean I withdraw. If there is a leadership position, I'd like to be the second man, not the first man. Okay? It doesn't mean withdraw that I'm gonna escape from the mission. Okay? بس يا حبيبتي. Okay, هات اللي بعديه. And then we have the DC profile. برضه ما فيش حد DC profile. They are the task oriented. CD, okay. That's the DC profile. That's the business oriented people. Yeah. It's all about how I take the decision. So the CD profile is basically take their decision based on their compliance. But the DC persons are more or less are task oriented. So it is not the same, but it appears like the same. So they care about plans, programs, projects, and process, and then the IS profile. لو كل الناس IS ما شاء الله. انا هقول لك حاجه حلوه خالص. بصوا each graph has a different meaning from the other graph. Okay, I'm gonna illustrate for each one if you want your graphs. Okay, I'm just giving the general outlines. So the IS people is basically caring, sharing, relationships, and emotions. The IS people. Yeah, the common behaviors. Yeah, but yeah, the graph exactly. But the graph is different from a shape to another shape, from a number to another number. Okay, so ما انا ابونا قلت هشرح لك لوحده. حد طلع له ثلاثة كوادرنتس؟ اوكي حلو خالص. نو نو نو.
يعني مش انت قلت خدوا اكبر
على ما دام يعني دي انا بحسب هي دي ما بتتحسبش. بقول لك دي لوحدك. يا ماري جرجس بعدك بعدين. طيب so let's okay how we use this thing in the service. Basically, do you remember the example of the sales? I'm an introvert and I'm working in a job. It's basically the same in each single task in the service has a single behavior indicators. Let me say, if we are organizing a camp, definitely the one who is responsible for the financing, his profile is different than the one who is responsible for the team leading. And it's the best match to have the profile of the service that I'm doing is matching my behavior indicators. Okay? So we're gonna make an activity. طبعا ابونا هيلعب لوحده. انا عايز 4 جروبس فهتلعب لوحدك يا ابونا. Where is the eyes? انا عايز 4 جروبس. The S and the C's. أوريني على جراف. هو basically انت I يعني I C. Okay. طيب. What we do have. طيب. In the paper that we have, it's the most in these papers is the most common behaviors that related to your profile. I need you to read the profile, and you're gonna pitch one of each characteristics. So let me say, from the strengths, you're gonna pitch like my strengths as dominant is blah blah blah. My weakness as dominant is blah blah blah. Okay, we're gonna have 3 minutes. As a group, one from the group. Yeah, okay. One from the general characteristics, one strengths, one limitation, one greatest fear, one area of growth.
So you have to pick one.
One from each. Yeah, the whole group.
Essentially, guys, you're just going to break that into 4 groups. Okay, let's do it. If your dominant is I, you'll be in the I group. Your dominant is S, you're in the S. You're going to have a conversation amongst yourselves about that personality type, and after 3 minutes, one of you just come up and explain to the rest of the group what you've learned about that particular personality type. Yes? So you take your dominant, whatever you want, you're an I.
أبونا الدي. No, 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 no. أنت هتقول الدي.
No, I'll tell you what the D is. مش هقول لكم. I'm not going to tell you who's D here, but I'm not a D. But let me describe a D. Is it? Okay, general characteristics. We picked competitive. Strengths, he's a risk taker. Limitations, oversteps authority. Greatest fear, losing control. Areas for growth, strive to be an active listener. I hope my wife is not watching this. Relational characteristics, can't say I'm sorry. Value to the team, getting results or pushing the group ahead. Communications, can be sarcastic.
So basically, you're.
حاجة وحشة أوي.
Stop it. That means you leave and you're very successful.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a good leader, to be honest, reading this. أنت دي؟
I.
For general characteristics, we all kind of agreed on sociable. Our strengths were to motivate others to achieve. We found that we were limited in our attention to detail. Our greatest fear, all of us, was rejection. Areas for growth, we chose two. The first one was we don't really weigh the pros and cons before making a decision. So we're very that's the word. I couldn't even think of the word. And we also said concentrate on following through with tasks. A relational characteristics was we make friends easily. Yes. Value to the team is we are accepting of new people and we have a sense of humour, and our communication is enthusiastic.
Thank you. ما بحبش الآيز عامة. اس بهزر يا جماعة. اس.
Okay, so our general characteristics, we couldn't pick between loyal and cooperative. And then for strengths, we picked reliable and dependable. Okay, and then our limitation is that we have difficulty making quick decisions, hence what. And then our greatest fear was loss of security, and that's why we don't like change. Our areas for growth was dealing with confrontation constructively, because we all hate it. Our relational characteristics, we picked makes a good parent. And then value to the team was providing the dependability. And then our communication was usually a good listener.
Thank you. The C's, C.
Compliance. I thought it was cautious. All right. So for compliance for general characteristics, we mainly agreed on being tactful was one of our general characteristics. For our strengths, gather, analyzing and testing information. Our limitations is that we can get bogged down in the details. Greatest fear is being misunderstood. Areas for growth is concentrating on doing the right things, not just doing things right. Relational characteristics, we set high standards. I didn't agree on that one, but I personally do set high standards. Value to the team, I listed for me, I agreed with 100% of them. Value to the team, maintaining their focus is what we could offer to the team. And communication, we all agreed on this one. Hesitating to talk until we have thought out precisely what to say.
Is this C? Yeah, it is C. Okay, ماشي. So, right now we got the flavor of what's D, what's I, what's S, and what's C. Let's have another case study. So, we're gonna have a case study about how to relate these profiles and personality types to our services. Okay? Okay, we're gonna have 3 scenarios, and in each scenario, I need you to answer 3 questions. Okay? Let's read, bring the first. Okay, the first scenario, you have 1 month to organize a camp. انت اي سي صح؟ بس كده خلاص. ما فرقتش حاجة. Okay. So the 3 questions are how you think each personality type would react from the D, I, S, and C. The second question, what some of their strengths and limitations according to this scenario. And the last question, how to best utilize each personality type. We have the sure. You can. كتبهم عندي هنا. Okay. Let's each personality type. Let's them think accordingly. Yeah. You can do it?
Yeah.
Yeah. In the notes.
Can't do it. We could just do it, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't let go.
Abanoub, let's just do it together. Or the D will go, I got this. The I will definitely say. The I will.
Okay, we finished. We know what we're doing.
All right. So with.
So what do you?
So the I would go. All right, I'm just going to ring the. I'm going to ring the campsite and see if I can negotiate a cheaper rate. What's what? Huh? What's he? D.
Not in the way that you're thinking, but in your straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, go. This is.
I is going to emphasize. Well,
Go.
okay. So the D. So the C is going to make a list of everything that needs to be done. D is going to boss everyone around to get it all done. Yeah. The I is going to go and motivate everyone to make sure everyone does their part, and then the S does everything because they're reliable and dependable.
And then the S does everything.
Yeah, because we're the dependable ones, and we're going to control everything because we don't trust anyone else to do it.
That's actually.
I like that. That is on the ball.
One more time, because that's like.
Okay, so the C will create a list of everything that needs to be done. The D is going to go and delegate everything to everyone. And then, shut up, sorry. and then the I will motivate everyone to get everything done in time. And then the S will do everything because they're going to struggle to let go of control. And they'll just feel the need to do everything themselves to get it done right.
What about the B?
Huh? I don't know. But that's how it works. Huh? Oh. Okay, fine.
I'm a C. So a C sees it as a D will do it on their own and delegate small tasks, but they'll probably ramroll people for it. The I will encourage a group to do the tasks, but they're possibly going to run over time, but it's okay, they've made everyone happy because they're really good salespeople. The S is probably going to go and cry somewhere and try to grab people at the end to try and make it work. And the C is going to section out the time, organize minimum viable product, as in to make it just work, to make it work, and they're most likely to ignore suggestions because they're in work mode.
What about eyes? What do you think? Okay.
how do we make this work? And they're probably going to need a lot of help. And the C is they'll section out the time, and then we'll organize the time to the milestones required for the organization.
اوكي انت مش اس طيب can I say and I'll say it from my perspective as a D as a D I'm a D بعيط بلاش خليني قاعد ساكت okay me as a D 1 month is a lot we can do it in 1 week okay one month is a lot. It is only 1 week. We're not only to make 1 camp. We're gonna make 2 camps. Okay. From my perspective, how I see people in these situations, they're gonna do the job, but too much كلام and no actions. I agree. The best people to I totally agree برضه. لا ما فيش الكلام ده. ما فيش جابس بتوع مني اصلا. Okay. How I see the S people? They will not to come to the camp اصلا. 1 month is so too much. Sorry, 1 month is a very short notice. We need like 6 months to prepare the camp. Okay. دي حاجة حلوة على فكرة يعني. Okay. بس يا ماما. That's how they would treat other people. How I see the C's gonna act. They're gonna be the most special person ever. I'm gonna say the C's. Gonna say I need 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a time frame like and I'm gonna get it before the time frame, and I'm gonna get it with the best quality ever. See. That's why almost all people that work as lawyers, accounting, finance, IT are CS profiles. Yeah, and introverts, 100%. Yeah, it's yeah خليني يعني بعيدا دلوقتي. طيب, the second scenario, you have been asked to start a new service. Think as the D, the I, the S, the C. Or okay, I'm gonna speak about the D, okay? And each one, I need to speak about your personality profile, okay? If you want to take it for everyone, I'm fine. We have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. سي دن سي دن ايه ده بس مش صليب انا مش مصدق نفسي انا مش مصدق نفسي اي اي are you done so can you start presenting
Okay, so for eyes for this one, we kind of all got really excited that we're doing a new service. But we all realized that we don't know how to do it. so that excitement and that, oh my gosh, we're like ready. We actually needed to talk to 18 different people before we even felt remotely comfortable about starting the service. Then when we got to the point where we were like, yeah, we're good, excited again, then we had to encourage another 18 people to help actually set up the service, because now we're supposed experts of helping set up the new service. Then we set up the service and it started and we made sure everyone's happy, joy, kumbaya, and then we got really bored because the service is set up, it's done, and we're ready for the next service that we don't know about so that we can actually go ahead and be excited again. Literally. And we've all found that or majority of us found that we really did get bored after it, when we talked even having it done, like already established for like a month or two, we were done. Because we don't plan ahead. Yeah. Who's next? C's? S?
S
Okay, so us S's, اللي أبونا يقولوا يمشي. Okay? أبونا, no, seriously. أبونا عايزنا نعمل كده. Okay, we'll wing it. Let's do it. But then we'll freak out after in our own time. And then composed in front of everyone, we'll do it harder. We please everyone. But then we go home, we're like, did I do a good job? Oh my God, I'm freaking out. That's it. بس بنعملها.
See, okay. So before investing time and effort, we need to know that this is going to be beneficial, sustainable, and is there a hunger for it? Because
We said the exact same thing.
Because Luke 14:28 says, what was it?
We don't start building a tower without first counting the costs.
Okay. After we find out that it is beneficial, sustainable, and if there's a hunger for it, we'll segment the service, and then we'll allocate servants to each segment. Then we supervise. But we can be substituted into each segment if need be.
Okay.
طيب what do you think about the deeds what do you think about the deeds what do we okay 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 what do you think what he's gonna do I do it myself okay so these okay these أنا أصلاً a new service I'm basically the new service. Definitely we're gonna accept the new services, okay? And then we don't work. We just only, we're born to be supervisors, you know? We're gonna bring people into the service, and then, hey, you do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hey, you do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then we get the job done. We're gonna make sure that we have the eyes in our groups that are gonna bring the new people to the new services. Yeah, definitely. And we'll bring the C's. Yeah, and with the timeline, the proper timeline, and then we can ask the I's, and then we can ask the C's Please watch out the eyes that they are not lagging into time. Maybe. Okay. Exactly. Third scenario, the last one. Okay. Me too. It was about negotiations. Okay. The third scenario, you have a conflict with a member of the youth. How, as a D, I, S, and C, you're gonna behave, or you're gonna handle the conflict? طيب اس done. C's. انتوا خلصتوا؟ زد؟ انا بقول كده برضه.
Who wants to talk about that song? Becky, you want to talk about this song?
يلا بيكي.
Nice and soothing. If you don't want to stand up, you don't have to. It's my turn. Oh, how we like down first and then right.
I'm SD.
Becky, you're great. You can do this. Yeah, and your hair's wonderful.
Okay, so if there was a conflict with someone, I believe that Eyes would be quite emotional first and get pretty down about it initially, and then later on it will be quite systematic in the fact that we want to know whether it's going to what the reason is specifically for the conflict, and we want the reason why, and we want to solve it. But also at the same time, we will probably calculate, is it going to win the person over, or is it better just for me to not say anything and for them to, like, essentially the idea of winning the person over would trump over how we would feel.
Yes.
Avoid at all costs. يعني. But if you're in that situation where you have to confront, you're the. So if I have conflict with you, you'll see me on the other side of the church. يعني مش. I'm S. But if we have to sit next to each other, I would be the nicest person ever. يعني أنا عايز أبسطك عشان the conflict can be over. But then I go home and cry and sleep. Done. هروح أنام. أنا عايزة أنام. Like I want to avoid to the point where I just want to sleep.
That's why pre-marriage counselling service is Mark's going.
Am I going to be speaking?
Yeah.
Hello. So we would give time for the dust to settle as much as possible, for us to remove as much emotion as possible from the situation. Then we would consult maybe an older servant or a priest for a second opinion or for advice. I'm speaking, don't talk. Then we would... I told you. Then we would plan what we're going to say. We would approach gently but tactfully. And we would target the problem but not the person, because we don't really care about the person.
Can I add one thing on the C's? They get بس يا حبيبتي بس يا ماما بحاول ما اطلعش الدي بتاعتي عليكي خليني قاعد ساكت. The C's هتلاقيهم start bringing the old documentations, the old WhatsApp messages, the whole, if they are in corporates, they're gonna bring the whole emails, and then here is my folder, gonna speak by my these papers. D. طب what do you guess D's? احنا ما بنغلطش. ايوه احنا ما بنغلطش. يا جماعه احنا ما بنغلطش، الديز ما بيغلطوش. But basically when we start facing a conflict at the early beginning احنا ما بنغلطش, we are always right, and then apparently by time we can say no, I can handle this situation in these matters, but you know I will not to go for this situation, it will come to me once more. بعد 50 لا مش 50 سنة قوي يعني عشان خاطر كده يعني that's why there is mixed profile or mixed types. If someone is a totally D person, you're gonna behave in this way. But this mixture of the profiles or behaviors, it's extremely different. Moreover, always look at with whom I have a conflict with. Let me say, if I'm a D, disaster, extremely disaster. ونقعد نخبط في بعض ونشوف مين فينا نفسه أطول. Yeah. That's so true, honestly. In my church in Cairo, we did the same assessment over the whole population inside the scouts. No, the whole population. In from 1,000 servants, we are 3 Ds. Okay? And these 3 Ds, when there is a conflict or something is happening, بيبقى في خناقات للصبح. Just only fight. I don't like what you just said. Especially the Ds. Okay. So let me say, if I'm a D, if two I's are having the conflict together, I'm gonna find. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. And if it's a D with an I, the guy gonna. If it's two S persons, خلاص, there is no conflict أصلا. حصل خير. Yeah, the problem gonna stay forever, but there is a problem. Two C's, nah, they have to go to the court. Abuna must come and bring the first C and bring the other C. Show me your documentations and papers, and show me your clues and keys. And the S, you bring the S to say حصل خير. Okay, basically, if there is a conflict between a D and I, it always happens one of the two scenarios. Either the D gonna foster his personality over the I, or the I gonna convince the D with his clue. With the issue, with the whatever. Yeah. Okay, if it's a D and a S, the S gonna also say bye-bye, I'm at home, and the D gonna be so satisfied. Yeah, sleeping. D and C's, always D gonna handle the C's. Yeah, I appreciate your documentation, definitely you are right. But you know, I want you to do something else. Yeah, but in a short time, yeah, I agree. Okay, I and S, for the first time, the S person gonna face up the problem. And they're gonna face the conflict, because his conflict is basically with an I person. If it's an I and C, we're all gonna be happy. The C gonna be happy, and the I gonna be happy. So exactly. So if it's an S and C, the S, for the first time, he will face up the problem. For the first time, he will face the problem, or she face, because it comes from the C. Because the C gonna bring up some documentation, and basically the S person, one of their behavior that I keep my documentation and I give my things. Okay, if it's between an S and C, for the first time, the S will face up the problem. And will face up the conflict, because the conflict are coming with the C person. Like the C's love to have some documentations, and the S people love their steadiness. So according to this conflict, the C's person also always show up that I have an upper hand over the S, and the S, their biggest fear is to stay away from the C's. That's why almost all the graphs, that's why one of the most common graphs is the SC or the CS. Let me give you another example. In the organizations, always the one who is responsible for the audit is in CS profile or an SC profile. And the worst day in anyone in the accounting or in the finance, that this guy from audit will come to him. And basically the guy in finance is also a CS profile. So the S are going to have the conflict with an upper hand. And at the same time, the C don't like the conflict at all. So, I didn't hear you, sorry. No, they don't look at conflicts. Yeah, احنا ما بنغلطش اصلا. Yeah, look. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So, basically, right now each one of us know their personality type. There is nothing called good or there is nothing called bad. It's the best to know each one, to know your behavior and to know other behaviors, and accordingly you can start your treatment. But basically, there is something that it's always hidden, which is the emotions. Away from you are an D, you are an I, you are an S, you are an C, there is something else called emotions. Can I give you an example? You could have a very bad day at work, and then apparently you're going home and your mom asked about the daily list اللي هي على طول بتطلبها. I need you to go to buy blah 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 تعمل blah blah blah. أنا كان بص ماما و and apparently you will choose one of two reactions. You're gonna react from your personality type. I'm مش عارف حاجة. I can't do it right now. Or you're gonna handle the situation. You're gonna handle your emotions. So away from your personality, just try to realize that there is emotions. To control your emotions is better than to control your personality. Okay? So the last thing that I'm going to say, this personality assessment, we used this personality assessment before in service. And we start making the assessments for the whole servants that are gonna start this new service. And we start drawing up a graph. You can draw up the graph, but we start analyze which dominant thing we need to each job. Let me say we have team leaders, we have people that's responsible for accounting, people responsible for documentation, reception, and according to these behavior indicators, or according to the most dominant thing, we start making the matching between the preferred behaviors to the servants and to the job or to the service. بس كده. Thank you. حد لسه يوصل حاجة؟